Alright guys, now then, forget everything you know about moussaka. My version swaps out the aubergines for layers of potatoes, and I'm using a rich plant-based mince instead of beef for this one, and I'll tell you what, the results were stunning. And starting with the ingredients for the Béchamel sauce, or white sauce, we need some butter, flour, milk, bay leaf and a pinch of nutmeg. I ended up using ground bay actually. And for the rest of the dish we need the potatoes, some olive oil, an onion, I used 2 small ones, some mushrooms, and I use rehydrated porcini for this, garlic, mince, plant mince or beef mince or whatever you want to use, a can of chopped tomatoes, ground cinnamon, some allspice powder and some tomato puree. Here we go then. This dish was requested by a viewer and I apologise profusely because I can't remember who it was. So, well, thank you anyway. First up then, peel and slice your potatoes fairly thin. You need 400 grams of potatoes for this, but I used 600. So what I did, I cut mine that's a little bit thicker. This is where the V-slicer comes in really handy. They're all the same size, look. Stay tuned to the outtakes at the end and you'll see I had to use a different potato. Get the potato slices up to the boil and sort of simmer them, blanch them for 2 or 3 minutes. Meanwhile, prep the rest of the veg. Finely chop the onion. And get your mushrooms ready. Like I said, I used dried porcini for this, which I've rehydrated. They really do have an intense flavour and it did come through in the dish at the end. You can use button mushrooms, chestnut mushrooms, any white mushrooms. Just slice them fairly thinly. Potatoes up to the boil, time to drain them off. And set them aside to use later. Add a glug of olive oil to the pan and we're going to soften the mushrooms. We're not going to brown them off, it's going to soften them a bit. You could, if you wanted to, put the garlic in at this stage, but I wanted the garlic to have a more garlicky flavour. I find that sometimes when you cook it at this stage it loses a little bit of garlicness. And when they've softened a bit, it's in with the mince. And like I said, I used a plant-based mince for this one. I tell you, at the end, I could not tell the difference. I've used plant-based because I've been requested to do a few more vegetarian dishes. Like I said, you can use beef, pork, chicken, turkey, anything you want in this, really. This worked out well. Get the mince cut up a little bit. This is the worst thing with this packet mince. I suppose if I had time I could just crumple it up with my fingers. Anyway, in with the mushrooms. And we're just going to cook this down for a while. And as mentioned, I'm doing the garlic now. It really isn't because I forgot it earlier. No, it just it gives it a little bit of a different taste. Give it a good stir in with nothing to stick to the bottom at this stage and still breaking those lumps up. And then it's in with a few of the herbs and spicy thingies. Tablespoon of cinnamon, which is quite a lot. Get that stirred in and then 2 teaspoons of allspice powder. And again, get it stirred in. Don't let it sit too long because it will catch on the bottom. So in with your tin of chopped tomatoes. Give it all a good mixing, get it liquefied. Seasoning to taste, I just added about half a teaspoon of salt to this. And I've moved the pan to the back burner on a low heat just to keep it cooking. time to get on with the bechamel sauce, the white sauce. So in with the butter, 50 odd grams into another pan, get that melting. And this is where I found out I forgot the tomato puree. So add a tablespoon of tomato puree to the mince mix and stir it in. We need 50 grams of plain flour for the sauce. And 400 ml of milk. As soon as the butter's melted, it's in with the flour. And we're going to mix it around to form a roux. It's very, very quick, this bit. Don't stop because it will burn on the bottom of the pan. And as soon as you've got it looking just like that, add a splash of milk. Little bit at a time, we're adding the milk, just a little bit. Get it mixed in, add a bit more. Get it mixed in and add a bit more and keep going. This is where I realised that my whisk wasn't getting into the sides of the pan very well, so I had to grab a spoon and ease things around. Didn't take too long. You can see the sauce is thickening up already and no lumps. If you add the milk all in one go, you'll have a lumpy sauce. Up the heat a little bit and the sauce will thicken up lovely. A pinch of nutmeg. And in with the bay. Now I'm using ground bay for this one, but you could use a bay leaf. Just take it out at the end before you start using the sauce. There we are then, all ready. Time to assemble the dish. Now I'm using 2 small Pyrex dishes for this one. If you're doing it for a family, you could just use one 25 by 16 dish, or any old lasagna dish will do. Layer of potatoes in first. In with a layer of the mince mix. Spread the mince around over the potatoes. And in with a layer of the bechamel sauce. And again, spread that around. You can see here how well the sauce has thickened up. And repeat, potato, mince and sauce, potato, mince and sauce if you've got enough, finishing off with the bechamel sauce on top. You can sprinkle a bit of pepper over the top now if you want. And then it's in the oven, 180 Celsius, for about 30 minutes or until the top is nice and golden brown. Well, here it is out the oven, guys. It took a bit longer than I thought. I said 180 for half an hour. I did 180 for about 20 minutes, then I turned it up to 200 for 20 minutes just to get the top a little bit. Can you hear that? A little bit crispy and golden and whatever. So I think it's time for a taste test. Right, that's the photos done. Here we go then. Oh, I'm liking that. That is good. It's almost, I know it's moussaka, potato moussaka, but it's almost like it's like a lasagna as well, potato lasagna. Well, I'll tell you what, guys. That is definitely a double diggy thumbs up. And I bet you can't guess what I've got for my supper tonight.